What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's episode 803 of the O Show. We are presented by TickPick.com. Head to our website at OSHOW20, that's capital OSHOW 20 for $20 off your next order using TickPick.com. Albert Ochoa, Bob Santos, welcome to the program, boys.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
We were just talking about our connections with GCU, some guys on the basketball team, Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah. In depth with a lot of sports here, not just boxing, right?
I know.
We're definitely into the athletics and more so than just boxing. We love the basketball, baseball, football, MMA. We support it all. Anything to do with athletics, we're here.
Well, with the greatest thing about sports is that you all kind of share that commonality of discipline and conditioning and training your body, where obviously boxing and fighting specifically are to the nth degree, I feel like. You would know, I mean, 3 decades plus coaching and, being involved with all these guys, like you've seen it.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. Obviously you get a lot of the pro football players, basketball players, they like to come to the gym and get their workouts that way sometimes, in the boxing gym, and that individual competitiveness there's nothing like it. Obviously, I love basketball, baseball, football, and all the sports, but there's nothing like one-on-one competition. That's just like you said. It's just taking it to the zenith level as far as sports go and competition.
Yeah, like it's on you to get the job done, which is the cool. It's probably cool for you. That's probably why you got into it when you right.
No, yeah, I love that part too. There's a lot of other reasons why.
And we'll
boxing,
get into it.
Yeah,
we'll get into it for sure.
How
but
it's one-on-one. But
it's
still a team effort. I feel like in boxing, Yeah, I'm there by myself in the ring, but it took a team to get there.
So, of course, especially during camp and everything. And you gotta pick the right guys to associate yourself with. What made you associate yourself with Bob? What was the hook?
Bob, you want to answer that one or me?
Maybe the fact that I was trainer of the year. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sports Illustrated.
Who approached you? He's got the resume.
That might have been a little bit about it, huh?
Yeah, no. I believe so. I started the sport 2 years ago. And I've starting to pick it up pretty well, I would say, for only being 2 years in. And his son was one of the first people I think that was showing me love and was like, "Hey, you're getting better. Hey, you're doing some things. Like what are you doing? Like, how are you doing it? So his son kind of introduced us. And then from there, he's like, "Hey, I want to sign you," and now we're doing some big things. I'm getting ready for this next fight.
Yeah, I feel like relatively off the bat whether or not you guys have that synergy and connection to work well together, because I'm sure you've worked with people in the past where it's I don't think this is going to be right for me, right?
Yeah,
he's actually had 2 Olympians that he worked with in the past. We won't say any names, but but that being said, I think coming together and having the right coach and people behind you, and thankful for my son who obviously works with me. And it's been a family business for a long, long time. My cousin fought in the 1956 Olympics. So, we've been involved in boxing for a long, long time. And, obviously, I always like to mention his name and give, credence and respect to him. My cousin Louis Molina, 1956 Olympian, so obviously he's since passed, but I learned a lot from him, gained a lot of knowledge, and was very blessed to be in his presence and take my sons, under my wing like he did me. So from that point, we've been very, very blessed, and he brought him to my attention, and the rest is history. He had some good coaches, before I got involved. Obviously, 2 different Olympians, and just joking around a little bit earlier. But I think at the end of the day, you want somebody to take the reins that really has that experience, been there in that corner, not just in camps, and has that experience. And I've been blessed for 31 years and had a plethora of world champions. And so we're taking that experience and helping build on that with him.
Oh, yeah, and obviously you see the potential, and you're a lifer in this. 30-plus years, your family's ingrained in it. There's a lot of people, Ivan, you could probably attest to this too, where people start out, I've been doing this podcast for about 7 years now. There's people that will get into podcasting or want to become a boxer and train for a year, maybe 2 years, and then it fizzles out. You know, it's like, oh, I was passionate about it at one point, but then it either got too hard, maybe from a physical standpoint, financial standpoint, just wasn't really clicking, you know, where 30 plus years, like, you love this, you know, like, you probably went through the ups and downs, the heartaches, the successes, the failures, everything.
Definitely. You know, I always try to tell my fighters and just people in life in general, I'm a big believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, first and foremost. But that being said, you know, you can't get on the roller coaster in life, and especially in boxing, because you can't let the highs get too high and the lows too low. You know, I can remember with Robert Guerrero and taking him. I had him since he was 14, 15 years old, became a 6-time world champion across multiple weight classes. I think him, Manny Pacquiao, Henry Armstrong, the only 3 in the history to be featherweight champions, welterweight champions. So, you know, you have the highs of winning those world championships, and then you get to the pinnacle, you fight Floyd Mayweather, and it doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out, you know, and that's a huge low. So for everybody out there, believe me, you know, everybody sees Bob Santos, you know, Sports Illustrated, Coach of the Year, Ring Magazine, Coach of the Year, all these world champions. Been blessed to be around, you know, guys making millions of dollars, but there is a lot of down times. There's no two ways about it. And the difference is you just got to stick it out. You know, you just got to keep plugging away. Don't let the highs too high, the lows too low. Keep pushing, keep going. But no two ways about it. There was many times where I'm like, man, wow. You know, you feel like quitting, but you can't do that. I couldn't let that happen to my mom and dad and what they instilled in me, and obviously my cousin making the Olympics and things like that. And he knows that. You just got to keep persevering. And you know that too with your podcast here.
Way less disciplining than what you went through, but yes, for sure. And I wanted to make that analogy because there are a lot of people who get into things, and as soon as the going gets tough, it kind of just fizzles out. Where you said it best, you know, your brain told you like, oh, I want to quit, but you were never going to quit.
No.
I've been in instances here where, like, from a financial standpoint, like, this was a burden where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. But then you wake up the next morning and you're like, it's ingrained in you. It's the only thing I want to do.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that because I can remember going out to camps back in the day brutal camps. Like you said, the finances weren't there, you know, sleeping on floors, doing the things that we had to do with some of these guys and to get them over the hump. But, you know, at the end of the day, the main thing that I tell people, when you're going through it, it's easy for me on this side now, right? You have a house on the golf course. Mm-hmm. Things are going good. Yeah. You know, you're financially stable. And so, but the thing is, it is the journey. And looking back on it, I look back on some of those times I was going through, you know, you're sleeping on the floor, you're doing this, we're going to camps. I mean, there's some brutal camps. I mean, you know, you see those Rocky movies sometimes, you say, man, that's over the top. Sometimes I'm saying, man, that's not even enough. You know, so there were some brutal, rough camps, but you look back on those times, and that's what forges you. That's what makes you. And I'm thankful and glad for those times. And then I can bring those experiences to my young fighters like Albert and say, hey, man, you know, this is what it takes.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot to get there and even more to stay there.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy how hard the climb to the top of the mountain is, but how insanely more difficult it is staying there.
Oh, boy, you're right about that. You're right about that, and all the arrows that are coming your way with it. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to do anything else, and I'm very, very blessed to be in the position I'm in. So everybody out there, when you're doing something, you're passionate about it, don't get discouraged. Keep pushing forward, and that's what it takes.
How many people have you trained? Because you're 23 years old, correct? Yes. I'm 24, so I can relate to this in a sense where it's like I've had mentors before, and I'd like to think I'm very coachable, right? Where I'm sure you've dealt with people who, like, right off the bat, their ego probably got in the way, or they couldn't stay out of trouble or something, you know, outside of the ring.
Yeah, you know, I've had guys, obviously, you know, that I've worked with that were in the Olympics, gold medal winners, world champions, guys that should have been there, could have. I mean, just the talent level was insane. I mean, some of the things that would happen is, you know, you make the Olympic team and then they're kicked off the Olympic team for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, you got to just keep persevering, put your head down, stay focused, and ego edging God out. It's a terrible thing. And when you can't be coachable and learn from others, you're destined for failure. And regardless, I try to tell these guys, whether you make it or you don't make it, if you continue to do it that way, that's fine. You'll make it because of your talent. But like we said, will you stay there? Mm-hmm. And when it's done, what will you have? And a lot of times, you try to tell these guys, and it's the same story over and over again. But, I've been blessed to have guys like Robert Guerrero, Erislandy Lara, obviously, that fought Canelo, that have done real well financially and, stay disciplined in those areas. Of course, you make some mistakes, but at the end of the day, discipline, discipline, discipline.
Yes, sir. And it's crazy because you see people that will come into their success and be like, you could tell, like, oh, they bought the car, they bought the watch, and like you've probably seen it where it's like, okay, you gotta, who just got paid versus like who's been there and it's kind of disciplined and kind of doing whatever. How do you go about? Because you said you're a faith-based man. Christian man.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not perfect, people, but I do the best that I can.
Here's the thing: no Christian is perfect.
You're right about that. That's the thing. Yeah, Jesus Christ. That's what He died for, right? So,
how often do you kind of instill your faith-based practices when coaching? A young guy like Albert, not necessarily like forcing it on people, but like how often does that come up?
Well, I try to lead by example, right? I'm not here to make past judgments on anybody. I don't think I've had a drop of alcohol in 20 some odd years. And for me, that's just the way I choose to live my life. I've been married to the same woman, for most of my adult life. And I've been blessed though, because, a lot of good things have to go your way, because you can have the greatest of intentions and you could have the greatest marriage, and 10 years from now, whether it's the woman or the man, they start going a different direction and things go out of your control. So I'm not here to judge people with those types of things. But when I feel that it's imperative that I can give the knowledge to them, lead by example, but when I feel like, hey, there's a situation they're going through, this is what helped me get through it. I don't know if it's going to be the same for you. Maybe I'm planting the seed. Maybe somebody else will water it. Maybe that's just something that's never going to happen for you. But at the end of the day, definitely, I think first and foremost that's what I want to give to my fighters outside of boxing, because like I said, I've seen these guys come into the sport, become millionaires. But at the end of the day, I am a firm believer. The only thing that's going to fulfill us is the good Lord Jesus Christ. That's why we have a void in our heart and in my mind's sake. And so you can win the world championships. You can do this, and that's why I said don't let the highs get too high and the lows too low, because a lot of guys, once I make it, once I'm a millionaire, and then and I see these guys. I'm not going to say a lot of names, but they have everything now, right? And they're worth millions and millions of dollars. And some of the friends that are around them, even billionaires that come into the sport as far as promoters, and you see the void, because once they finally get there, it's not what they thought it was. That's why everybody out there, you gotta enjoy the journey, enjoy every day that you're doing, because when you get there, is it great to have the nice new car? Sure, I'm not gonna say that it's not. Is it great to be able to know that I don't have to financially worry about my bills or this and that, or a house payment and those types of things? Thank the Lord for that. But if you don't enjoy the time that you're going to get there, when you get there, you're going to be very, very disappointed in material things. There's no two ways about that.
Oh, it's just like the constant struggle of being like, once I get this, I'm going to be great. And then you get it and you're like, what's next?
No, dude, forget about the material things. Enjoy what you're doing every day. Be the best you can be in whatever job that you're doing at whatever stage. Because if you do that and you take that kind of approach, you're going to be successful in everything. You won't just be at this job. You'll continue to move up the ladder. There's no two ways about it.
And I feel like you have to go through those experiences to get to that point too, where you're like, okay, I have like these set things I want to accomplish in life. And once you do, and even people who don't quite get there, at least like having that slow journey, you realize like, okay, there's something way more to life that's going to be way more fulfilling. Enjoy the little things, enjoy the journey.
110%. And all these, sometimes I can remember going through, some real tough times in the sport, and things are just not going your way, and you think, man, Lord, why is this happening to me? And we all go through those times, but you realize later on, it might not be a month from now. It could be 10 years from now. And you realize, oh, man, thank God I went through that thing. Thank God I had that experience with that fighter, because now I can take those experiences and use them with these guys and get them to that next level. And so, sometimes you work with a fighter and it just doesn't work out. You think, man, that was just a horrible experience.
Yeah.
But you realize, you know what? A couple little things I took from that can really take this other guy's career off. So you got to look at everything as a positive, and you can learn from everybody, regardless of what their situations, what their background is. Every single human being on this earth, when you encounter them, good, bad, in between, you can learn something from them and take that into the next things that you need to do.
It's crazy how, like, in the moment when you have those stinging moments in life, you think, like, what, like, this is just a waste of time almost in your head. Like, why did I go through this? Like, this is just a crappy time. But then, to your point, like, down the road, you're like, oh, I went through that so I could help this person. Or I could utilize it in this certain event, this certain scenario in my life.
Sure.
And I feel like, obviously, the more you grow up, the more you realize, like, okay, I'm going through this for a reason. There's no two ways about that. It's not just like, oh, you're being cursed or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at a lot of times, sometimes I think I was just doing a fight on the zone with Angel Chavez, as a matter of fact. And they said, man, look how calm that fighter is. And I think Paulie Malignaggi said, well, look who his coach is. Mm-hmm. I've been through the gamut, maybe. You've been through the wars, have the battle scars, and that's what it takes, to keep the guys calm, to control the troops or where you need to go. And that's a big part of coaching. Without that, you're just not going to be a successful coach.
You got a good one right here.
Yeah, I believe I do. I believe we're going to do a lot of big things.
So why, to get really deep into, because I do want to learn more about why you chose this path, especially at a young age too, because we talk about the discipline, the kind of having your back against the wall per se, and you have your team, you're surrounded by a lot of really high quality individuals, and you got to, if you want to amount to that, right?
Correct.
What was it for you that made you want to get into this? Because you said it was multiple different reasons.
I mean, multiple different reasons, as in, like, the opportunity came up. I've been an athlete all my entire life. But, transitioning to the sport, something I've never done in my life, it was very hard. It's still hard. This isn't the easiest career, but I felt like I can do it. I felt like I could do it. I feel like I could be successful in this, and I feel like I can, really change my life, and not even my life, but my family's life and my future family's life. That's why I work so hard. That's why I'm here. That's why I haven't seen my family in 3 months. That's why we're training super hard, and I'm listening. When you go back to being coachable, I feel like I'm very coachable. Everything I ask 100 questions, he'll give me 100 answers. That's how you got to learn. And then especially in the gym, asking questions and doing the work together. So I feel like I could do a lot of big things in this sport. I feel like a lot of people know that. And especially me having my name and the work ethic and putting God first, I think, the opportunities are endless. And it's crazy. Like, I get goosebumps thinking about it, because I've only been in this sport 2 years, and so many people are paying attention. And a lot of people want to see me win, and a lot of people want to see me lose, but
that's life, brother.
That's life.
That's life.
I think it was one of your latest Instagram posts. You were on the phone with them talking about if you don't have haters, you're not.
They ain't talking about you. They ain't making noise. You got to have something. It's okay. Right. We love them all. Because, the haters, the people that support you. At the end of the day, that's all great. And that's a great thing about sports, though, too. People can call them haters. I don't even look at them as haters, right? Because what fun would sports be if every single person, we just like the Cowboys, and every single person, we just like Muhammad Ali, and every single person, you got to have some different things to root for. That's what made, the variety of life. That's what makes life so great, right? Some people like Italian food, some people like Chinese food. Well, today maybe you want Mexican food, and that's the great thing about life. And that's the great thing about having all the different cultures and ethnicities, and that's the same thing about sports. If everybody just rooted for the same college, the same team, I mean, how boring would that be? So you can call them haters or whatever you want to call them. People, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and what the style that they like. And so at the end of the day, it's just great to have people that are involved and care about sports and can come together and say, hey, I'm rooting for this guy, I'm rooting for that guy, or whoever it is. So that being said, it's just a blessing to me.
Oh, it creates
That's
that
the way I look at
friction.
it.
You know, if everybody's rooting
sure.
for the same thing, and I feel like everybody should be rooting for each other to
Oh, of
succeed.
course.
at the end of the day.
100%.
But when there
I
is
agree,
like it's great to have that competition of people having, you know, being a fan of the New York Yankees, being a fan of the Boston Red Sox, being a fan of Conor McGregor, being a fan of Floyd Mayweather. You know, like everybody can pick their poison.
Speaking of Floyd, every time I see him, one of the things I tell Floyd is every time I say, "Oh man, thank God for the Mayweathers," right? I said, "Man, I can't believe Bob Santos the way you talk about the Mayweathers." I said, "Man, if it wasn't for Floyd Mayweather, my kids would have never went to private school. I wouldn't have that house on the golf course." Thank God for Floyd Mayweather and what he did and what he accomplished. And at the end of the day, everybody's just trying to put food on the table for their family. And so when I look at, are there certain guys that I root against? Sure, I don't like their style or this and that. But at the end of the day, do you wish any ill will on them? You know what they're trying to do for their family. You may not like their approach. You may say they're arrogant. You look at what's going on, and we were talking about sports earlier with Deion Sanders, right? I like Deion Sanders as an athlete. I loved him when he was with the Cowboys. I think he was one of the predominant best football players that I ever seen. And a lot of people don't like the way he goes about his things, and maybe sometimes things are a little over the top. But at the end of the day, he's providing for his family. He's given a platform opportunity to other people. You may not like the way he goes about it, and I'm sure there's things that I do that he doesn't like the way I go about it. But at the end of the day, we got to be thankful for people like that and different opportunities that they give to people, and they're just trying to put food on the table and do the best that they can for everybody.
Like you can compete, but there's always that respect.
Yeah,
you know?
to me anyway. Yeah, no two ways about it.
So for you, obviously having all of these different skill sets now, and still obviously growing to the nth degree about it, why boxing? Why not anything else? You're an athletic guy.
Yeah.
What about boxing to you? Was there like a specific fight that you watched where it kind of like clicked for you, or was it kind of like a slow build?
Slow build. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just, I saw a lot of people, doing it. The sport was picking up more and more, and I felt like when the opportunity was
maybe
presented.
It's in the blood, though, too. I mean, you do got to give Tony the Tiger, three-time world champion, who's your cousin. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it just the warrior in you, the warrior in the blood.
Yeah.
So like early exposure too to it, being around it.
Actually, I was never around it. That was the thing. It was more like, hey, can you train me? He's like, why? And then I was like,
it's just in the blood.
But for me, in anything I've done, I always felt like I was looked as an outsider. I felt like I'm an outsider, I'm different than everybody there is. And I really believe that. And when it came to this sport, I wouldn't say it's easy or hard, but it is very hard. But when it came to just like the business side, I understood it very, and I'm still learning more and more. When it came to the practices and the training we had to do, okay, I got to do this. All right, let me do it like this. And then just keep improving on that and repetition. So I pick it up and I learn it, this sport, like I'm fully into it. I moved here. I'm away from my family. I'm dedicating my life. I'm killing my body, in these intense training sessions, getting hit in the head, So I feel like, I can
move your head.
Yeah, move my head. Yeah.
You're getting hit in the head. You shouldn't be getting hit in the head. We get in the head. We got to keep moving that head. We're doing something wrong.
Yeah, but, but I fell in love with the sport, the hate, it comes with it, but it's whatever, they're not doing what I'm doing. And what I'm doing, I'm having fun and I'm being happy. And, I'm just trying to create a longevity in the sport.
When you first started out, did that phase you? Because I'm sure, especially with social media, people make their comments and people come at you. But I feel like going into it, you knew that. You already kind of... It's just about actually experiencing it versus I know what to expect. Yeah. And then okay, I know what to expect. I know I'm going to get hit in the face, but then you actually get hit in the face, and it's like a completely different ballgame.
When we're talking about that, yeah. But when it came to the hate and all the negativity that came with it, I think what prepared me was when I was on that reality show.
Right.
Kylie Jenner and that Kardashians show. Because I got a lot of hate from that. I had people show up to schools, the restaurants, trying to hurt me. No, really.
You better not be the curse of the Kardashians, Chris Humphries.
No, but
all of them, man.
There's quite a few. Reggie Bush, Reggie, we love you, man. You was out there killing it.
Yeah. Yep.
You had a little slip up for a little bit there, but he got back to it.
But so I got a lot of negativity. I got a lot of love too from it. That's just with anything in life. But I think early in my life as a kid, as a young man, getting that exposure and learning that. And then from social media, the business side and, the good and bad, and then transitioning to this career, it was very similar. very similar. People are gonna watch you. People are gonna hate on you. You got to learn this. You know the business side a little bit. Now just put it together and find the right puzzles. So to be successful, you got to be around successful people, you know, in whatever career you want to do. So that's why I was picking up the phone, reaching out to these Olympians, reaching out to these world champions, because if they did it, they must know something that can help you take it to another level. You know, a lot of people don't think like that.
Nope.
They just see it and then they'll
iron sharpens iron.
So exactly. So for me, in 2 years to go straight to the top and be here in Las Vegas and sign with Sports Trainer of the Year, you know, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be here. Yeah, the training's hard, but I love it, and I'm just very blessed.
And it's crazy how like easy it is to ask for help too. Where like somebody might be trying to get into this and look at Bob Santos and be like, oh, he would never help me. You know, he's not accessible. Where it's like if you reach out.
But the thing is, what I
9
learned
times
about,
out of 10, like someone's gonna respond to you.
And what I learned about this sport is a bunch of egos. This sport is very toxic, and it's a bunch of egos. And I'm like, I don't have an ego. I feel like I'm a very humble dude, and you see it in the gym. People walking around with the chest out, and it's cool.
Well,
you know,
I'm gonna tell you, I have an ego.
Yeah,
I have an ego, but you know, I always got to remind myself. Edging God out, so I got to keep the ego in check. I got an ego, you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't get it twisted. I get heated in there. Let's turn it up on them, baby.
Well, as long as
let's go. But you know, sometimes edging God out, you know, you got to be careful for that fall. So you got to always try to keep it in check.
But I'm a believer that ego isn't a bad thing as long as you are aware about it. Like you guys seem very aware of knowing like when.
Oh, I'm aware.
You're losing
I got
your temper.
an ego,
You're like, wait, I got to take a step back.
Yeah, no two ways about it. Because sometimes, you know, and you know, the funny thing in boxing especially, and in life in some ways, you know, lose your head, lose your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same thing when you take that ego in the ring, you lose your head, lose your ass. You got to stay composed. You got to stay within yourself. When you start feeling yourself too much, you be very careful. And that's the one great dynamic that I love about professional prize fighting, is that, you know, in basketball, you're up 40 points and there's 10 seconds left on the clock. You know the game is done. The thing about professional prize fighting is Julio Cesar Chavez and Maldrick Taylor. Everybody's seen that. You know, he lost virtually every round, 10 seconds to go, and it just takes one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And everything's turned around with one shot. So this is the one sport that you cannot let your ego get too out of control and start feeling yourself too much.
Was that one specific fight that you just mentioned, like one of the more exciting fights that
you know? It was a tremendous fight. It was give and take both ways, and I think that's probably Julio Cesar Chavez's signature fight. No two ways about it. And Maldrick Taylor was a tremendous fighter at the time. You know, fast hands like a Floyd Mayweather, obviously gold medal winner, Olympian. And, you know, if you looked at that fight, if it had been, you know, say basketball or football or whatever the case may be, you know, it'd be like you were up, you know, 35 points with about a minute left on the clock. There's no way you're coming back. And he stopped him with 10 seconds to go. Matter of fact, I think they stopped the fight with maybe 2 seconds to go.
Wow.
You know, it was 2 seconds to go. And unfortunately, you got to feel for that. That's a case in a fight where, you know, I'm going for Chavez. I was a huge Chavez fan. Nothing to get Maldrick Taylor, but he was Shelly Finkel was one of my partners who managed Mike Tyson, you know, Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield. And I worked with Shelly for many, many years. And he had Maldrick Taylor. And that's one of those fights where you think to yourself, you know, this guy did everything. And he's within 2 seconds. Obviously, he was already in $1 million fights. But that fight, he wins that. That just takes you to the zenith, you know, of the sport. And so you got to feel for a guy like that. But, you know, the highs and the lows and, you know, of sports, tough.
Oh, my God. I mean, I feel like those are just the most exciting moments to be a part of, though, because especially in boxing.
Remember Wide World of Sports? The agony of defeat and the thrill of victory.
Yep. That's right. I mean, it's crazy to see, especially in today's world where you have so many different options. Like, for you, being a lifer in this, there's boxing, But over the past couple of years, like the amateur and the average fan base now sees boxing, and then you see like YouTube boxers, like the Jake Pauls and the people. Like,
I was working with Jake Paul. I was with him out in Puerto Rico.
So as someone that's worked with him, you could probably attest, like he worked his ass off.
You know what? I'll tell you. Obviously, in any sport, the sooner you can get into it, most likely the better. Not always.
Yeah.
But in most cases, sometimes it's a good thing for these young kids to try a plethora of different sports and, see what they gravitate to. And different sports sometimes can give you an advantage in ways because you're doing different things athletically with your body. But I'll tell you, when I was out there in Puerto Rico with him, I mean, that man worked his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one shock. I got to Puerto Rico, right, and I could see he's looking at me like, okay, here comes Bob Santos, Trainer of the Year, and we got after it. And the guy worked hard in the boxing gym. He worked hard in the conditioning. And one thing that stuck out to me about him was we'd go train in the morning, we'd go to his house, he'd eat a little bit, and then he was on that phone 24/7 working the business end of it. And hats off to him, because if more guys would do that in basketball, football, baseball, and really be on top of, obviously, you got to go where your meat and potatoes are, and you got to handle that. But if you want to go to that zenith, that next level, you got to be on top of the other things. And if you can do that, you talk about setting yourself up for life and the opportunities that you have. But unfortunately, with a lot of athletes and most people in general, they don't take it to that next level. Well, I got this and I'm satisfied with that. And I mean, to some degree, I guess that's fine. Got to balance family life and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
But to go to that next level, and when people see or kind of hate, no, his brother's got Prime and he's got Celsius and he's got this and they made hundreds of millions on it. I can tell you, that man is working.
Oh my God! I mean, both of them are very impressive.
I was out there with both of them. You see the podcast, you could probably attest to this. Here we are on the show, and you got your man back here. He's running the computer. He's got the filming going. We got this going. We got that going. We got the camera here. We got the camera there. You're doing this. We're in studio. Here we are on a Saturday, and you're plugging away and putting it in. When most people are like, hey, man, I want to watch the Saturday main football game today or whatever the case may be, and they're on the couch and eating Cheetos and dongs or whatever the hell else they're doing. And here we are plugging away. And that's what makes you who you are, who he is, and who I am.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I mean, especially when you're training, like your diet's got to be superb. You had a gallon of water when you walked in here. I'm like, gallon a day. Like that's what everybody does. I just completed the 75 hard, the Andy Frisella first form challenge, where it was just like 20 pages of reading a day, strict diet, whatever it was. For me, it was bulking. I was doing like 5,000 calorie surplus every single day for 75 days. 2 workouts a day. You got to do 1 45-minute workout in a gym, 1 outside, no matter what the weather is, rain, sleet, snow, whatever. And then whatever else, like if you want to get over any bad habits, like 75 days straight of doing it hard. And then you join a group of people that hold you accountable. And you make bets with yourself. Like if you can't do it, you got to do something, you got to punish yourself in a way, where it's like, talk about people just eating pizza or whatever on the couch on a Saturday. Like to me, I've done that before. I feel awful afterwards. Like I immediately want to right that wrong where people, that's how people live their lives. So it's all power to them. That's what they love to do. You guys aren't like those people though.
You know what's funny? One of my old boxing coaches, rest in peace, Eddie Devon. He was from Philadelphia. He used to smoke those non-filter. When I got into boxing, as a whole, those guys were smoking non-filters. Hardcore guys. And he told me, he says, Santos, boxing's so fucking easy, it's hard. I said, now what the hell does that mean, Eddie? I'm sitting there, young. He said, God damn, boxing's so easy, it's fucking hard. I said, what the? He had my mind just blown away. I said, what the hell is he talking? He said, don't take much to get your ass up in the morning and go run. All you got to do is get out of bed, go run. Get your road work in. Get to the gym. Put your rounds in. But most people don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy, it's hard. And well, I said, God dang, he's right. You just put that 1 foot forward and you do that, and that kind of stuck with me. And that's where, one of the reasons I'm here where I'm at now too, is just you get up in the morning, like you said, hold yourself accountable. Yeah. If you do that, you're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say, oh man, it's what you know or who you know and this and that. And I always tell them, I said, yeah, who you know can help you. But what you know and how hard you work is going to keep you there.
That's the longevity aspect of it.
Yeah,
like you belong to be where you're at today because you stuck with it, because you love it, and you've gone through it. It's almost like tricking your brain, like that quote right there, being like, it's so easy that it's hard.
Yeah.
You got to psychologically trick yourself to be like, all right, because once you get into that routine, it's very easy. It's just like those first few days, maybe the first few weeks.
If you don't do that routine, then that's where you feel like it's the opposite now. Mm-hmm. Like if I don't go to the gym, or I didn't, for whatever reason, sometimes even when we're flying across the country, I just came back from Japan, and you're flying, you couldn't get that workout that day, and it's like, man, I'm a little bit jet lagged, but I feel like, man, I missed out today. I didn't get that workout in. And it's like you said, you're just programming yourself in good habits.
Because there's a lot of people out there that'll start for a week or two and feel great. And then they allow themselves, like, I can eat a cookie now. I've earned it. And then you just fall right back into it, right? Yeah. Like, it's hard. It's almost like what we were saying before, like the difference between climbing to the top of the mountain and staying there. It's like the climb of, like, feeling good and getting in better shape is there. But it's like once you don't have that same why that you originally had when you started out, like, how are you going to keep that momentum rolling?
Yeah.
Which is very difficult for a lot of people from a mental standpoint.
Oh, 100%. That's why a lot of people don't make it to the top. And more so than not, certainly don't stay there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think specifically, because obviously you want to provide everything for your current family, your future family, your children's children, like to be able to do that for them is a big drive in this, I feel like, for you. Do you have like daily things that you practice and kind of, hype yourself up in a certain sense where it's like you have certain other whys?
Yeah. I mean, daily thing, I'm a big believer in obviously God, I put him first, but I'm a big believer also, you speak something into existence and you put the work in, it's going to happen regardless. And every day, even 2 years ago when I was fat and no one believed in me in this sport, I would say, I'm going to get to where I need to get to in this sport. I'm going to be the most popular fighter in my city. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win this fight when it comes out. I'm going to do this every single day. Ever since I moved here, I say every day is going to be a great day in the gym. I'm going to get better today, better than yesterday. I'm going to be the most popular fighter in Las Vegas. I say that every single day. I'm going to win my fight in a few weeks. I've been saying that every single day. And I say that, and then right when I get to the gym, I have a great training. I'm improving. I'm soaking everything in. So, yeah, every day, I tell myself I can do it. No one's going to believe me. I believe in myself. And if you believe in yourself, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So. What do you do when you have days where you show up to the gym and you're just not feeling right? Because I think it's very gratifying when you have good days and you're feeling great. You get that great pump in afterwards. Yeah. You got the adrenaline going. But then there's days where just like, and it just happens. There's days where like you're just feeling off. Like, how do you get through those days?
There was a fighter, I don't know who was it. I don't know if it was Broner or someone said it. There was like, you should, or a trainer said you should go to the days, like the days you don't want to do it. And every time I don't want to do it, I say that to myself. Those are the days that's going to matter. And that's what's going to be the best days compared to you feeling good and you can do it. Just with any job.
Anybody could do anything if they're feeling great. It's the days where they're not feeling it is the days you need to show up.
And that's the thing in professional prize fighting. When, I had guys like Robert Guerrero, broken hands, broken shoulders, broken ribs. I think, to me, the best days in the gym are when you're not feeling it. Because that's really going to show you what you are when we get. Now, what are you about? It's great when you're the predominant guy. But sooner or later, somebody's going to be your equal. And now it's going to come down to, who really wants it more. And I'll tell you what, Floyd Mayweather, I'm not the biggest believer in his style per se for me to watch. But I've been in the gym many times with that guy. And I've been across the ring from that guy. And people could say whatever they want to say. But you know what? There was times in those in some of those fights where he had to bite down and just be a dog. And let me tell you what, he was able to overcome those things because, you know, I guarantee you the days he didn't feel good in the gym, that guy's in the gym. I mean, you'd watch that guy for 2 hours. He's working on only a jab. 2 hours. Who does that? Nobody. That's when he's one of the absolute best. So at the end of the day, sooner or later, you're going to get tested. Oh, yeah, Floyd Mayweather's just a phenomenal athlete. He's just, man, I don't know if you could live a day in the life of shoes of him and put the type of work that he put in. You know, so at the end of the day, that's what's going to set you apart. It's going through those dog days. And if you can't do that, you will never stay at the top. That's for damn sure. You know, times where I'm sick as a dog, even me as a coach. You know, I'm feeling like shit. I just got back from Africa. Now I got to head out to Japan, or I got to go over to here. You know, I'm not feeling it. But guess what? You better get it done. Because I have a responsibility not only to my wife, my kids, responsibility to my God-given ability. I have responsibility to these fighters, guys like him, young guys coming up, because they're trying to change their family's life. Yep. And so if you ain't willing to do that and you're not willing to go there, then you're not about it. You're never going to be anything about it. And sooner or later, it's like a fraud. It's going to come out. Same thing in the ring. You know, well, this guy, I give all respect to any two people that climb in the ring that are willing to fight. I give the utmost respect. But the guys that take it to the zenith, guarantee you, those are the guys that are like, you know what? I ain't feeling it today, but I'll be in the gym.
Yep. It's like you're going to be exposed no matter what. You may as well live up to what people think that you're doing.
Like you said, though, too, you know, you're disciplining yourself and you're setting a mindset that every day that you're going to go on there and do that, you're going to be the type of guy that's going to be, your will be less likely to be broken for sure. I attribute this to, I had Robert Guerrero, people may remember or not remember, like I said, that fought Floyd Mayweather. For him to go up 6 weight classes, I can remember when they told him, hey, look, you know, your wife's not going to make it. She got terminal cancer. I can remember him not even being able to go to the boxing gym. And I says, hey, you know, I'm going to have to pull you out of this fight. Obviously, you haven't been in the gym. You haven't been training. But his mindset was such that he was like, look, he had took her to Stanford Hospital. I mean, no doubt in my mind, I didn't think she was going to make it, you know, 2-3 weeks at best. She had got down to like 80 pounds, you know, had lesions all over her face. I mean, it was brutal. And he was sleeping on the floor in the hospital, no camp. And you can look this up. He fought Martin Hennario, was the fastest knockout in featherweight championship history. Slept on the floor. When she would sleep, he'd run around the Stanford Hospital, shadow box, no sparring, no nothing. And I says, well, we can't do that fight. We just can't do this like this. And he said, you are not pulling me out of that fight. But he had always had that mindset since he was a kid. And goes out there and has the fastest knockout in championship history. But that's the difference between a guy like him. Broken hand, he's still going to push through. You know, he would have broken hands going into fights and never say nothing. That's one thing I love about Robert Guerrero and respect him to this day. I never heard him make an excuse after a fight. If he lost, you know, I remember Keith Thurman, we launched the first fight on NBC with PBC. First time boxing I've been back on network TV since, like, you know, Muhammad Ali back in those days. And he's a huge Christian. Robert Guerrero's a huge Christian. And I remember him being bedridden the week before the fight. And he's like, man, I can't let everybody down, or the sport of boxing, because if I don't go through this, because in the sport of boxing, people don't realize, you know, in pro football, quarterback gets hurt, second string's coming in. Second string gets hurt, third string's coming in. You know, if Floyd Mayweather gets hurt, there's no fight. If Robert Guerrero gets hurt, there's no fight. So he's like, I can't let down the sport of boxing. I'm going through this fight no matter what it takes. You know, because it's back on network TV, and that's the type of man he was. And so you look at, those are the mindsets of guys that will never give up.
It's just ingrained in you. Like, there's no other option. Like, why would I not continue to do this, no matter what's thrown in my way?
And that's what makes them great. So for all those people out there, like you said, what you want to do is you want to do these types of things. Get around people that iron sharpens iron. Discipline yourself. Every day, set the tone that you're going to do the best you possibly can in that day. Sure, sometimes you start going left, you start going right, but at the end of the day, start down the middle, plugging away, one step at a time, and definitely you'll be successful in anything you choose to do.
How do you specifically then, you know, obviously those are like some insanely tough things to overcome, especially an illness, even a broken hand. Like, just like those things in itself are hard to overcome. Yeah. Do you ever use because I don't know if this would be like a toxic thing to use when motivating yourself, but like those people that do give you flack for being in reality TV before switching over, not even switching, it's like you were in reality TV, then you wanted to pursue this, and people look at it as switching over, and they put a tag on you.
A lot of people, you know, I feel like I have a lot to prove, more than just the average boxer in the gym, because some people think I don't take it serious. I just went back home, right, for one day, literally, and I just flew in to do, you know, to be here to train, podcast, everything, right? And there was an OG boxer, you know, he had some good fights back in the day in the 80s. And I ran into him. I was like, yo, much respect for what you done. He's like, Albert, is that you? And he's a little out of it, you know? And he was like, yeah, like, I heard you've been doing some good things. I was like, yeah. I was like, remember when I wanted to kind of train with you because, you know, there were situations happening? He was like, yeah. He's like, the reason why I didn't pick up the phone was because I was hearing you weren't a real boxer, that you didn't take it serious. But then when I saw the internet that you signed with Sports Trainer of the Year, and now you're in Vegas having these, you know, you're doing all these big things, like, I messed up. I shouldn't have judged you. And I saw that, dude. I was like, you know, dude, I still have respect for you. You know, a lot of people are going to judge me, but I'm not defined what people say. And that's what I've learned, especially this camp. People are always going to talk. I'm not defined what they say. I know who I am. I know what I'm going to do, and I know where we're going to get to. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that motivate me, you know, that to just keep improving, keep going. But, you know, that I think I'm past that. You know, I've matured from that. Because no one's doing what I'm doing. Everything I'm doing is so different. Like, the elevation of it, you know, from only being in the sport 2 years, still learning, still trying to understand this sport, and just having fun. That's you know, I am having fun.
Oh, dude. Your actions are speaking for you, you know?
And I work hard. If I was halfway in, I would not be in this seat.
You work hard. You wouldn't be around me.
And even...
I don't want to be around lazy people.
Exactly. And even when we first met, he saw, like, in this camp, I do the work outside of the gym.
Yep.
And he can vouch for me. Like, he sees me in the gym. All right, when I'm home, he knows what I'm doing. He knows on the business side, I'm on the phone. I'm doing these. I'm reaching out to emails. I'm responding. All these things for the next 3 hours. Eat, shower, do all that. And then we're going back to the gym at 5 to 7:30 at night. And then, you know, you got to do it again right after. So I'm constantly in the sport and just trying to elevate. And what can I do more to rise my stock in this sport and just to be a better person overall.
Yeah, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. Your actions are speaking for you, and just like cancel out the noise.
Yeah,
because like even like you saying that the first guy that you reach out to didn't even like look twice at you based on what he saw on the internet.
And what
like that's a little frustrating.
No,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, exactly. I've had girls, guys, friends, old mentors, teachers. You know, I've had a lot of people just judge me or go based off what other people say. For me, that determines a lot on someone's character.
Oh, yeah.
And what I think with me and Bob, we agree on so much is, like, loyalty. You know, if you're loyal, you know, that shows a lot. That knows you're going to be honest with me. That knows you're gonna be there through good and bad. You know, I'm very big on loyalty. I've never switched up on anyone that's out of my life.
And this is one of the most difficult sports for loyalty.
Exactly.
That's what I told him. I said, well, you look at my track record, and I've been fortunate because it's a two-way street. You have to, you know, you can't do a straight deal with a crooked guy. Right. So that being said, though, I've been with Robert Guerrero since he's 14. He's 40 years old. He'll be fighting on Showtime again December 16th. Right. So these guys, Laura, that I've been with, they've been with me from the beginning and still here. And most of these other guys, you know, like I said, in some marriages, you can do everything right. For whatever reason, the other person just doesn't, you know, it's out of your control. But for the most part, you know, I look at some of these guys and, you know, they talk loyalty. With all due respect, my man, you haven't had one fighter in your 20-year career that has been with you from the start to the finish. You know what I mean? So, you know, trust but verify. How you got to go, you know. So that's what me and him talk about, loyalty, and we do the best that we can do.
I mean, it's like you trust until you give me a reason not to trust.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, at a certain point, you know, like I always tell these guys, my first wife wasn't too good. My second wife, I don't know what was going on. My third, my fourth, my fifth, my sixth. At what point aren't you the problem? Right? You can't even tell me. You can't tell me that one relationship worked out with you and the fighter. It can't always just be the fighter, my man.
You got to take accountability for what you're both bringing to the table.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's awesome to see because when's the fight? You got a few more weeks, right?
December 8th. Yeah.
December 8th. So
Miami.
in Miami.
On Fight TV. So it's gonna be cool.
What would you say? Because obviously you can't really like look ahead per se. Obviously you have like your probably 1 year plan where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years in building this, but you got to take it one fight at a time. What's kind of like when you first got into this? What was the big vision for you? Did you have specific goals that you want to attain? Like, do you have a vision of like who you want to fight, what type of thing you want to accomplish?
Well. When I first started, I honestly didn't know how it was going to pan out. From 2 years ago to now, from walking into that gym 205 pounds, no one paying attention to you, everyone making fun of you, to now people are paying attention and like really saying, oh, like, hey, you're improving, hey, you're doing that, So, I mean, from the start, I did always believe I knew I could do something in this sport. Like, it just clicked with me. Like, there was just something about it. I was like, okay, if this, from my first trainer that switched up on me, that messed with me mentally for a little bit, but I knew it wasn't just going to stop there. I knew there was more for me in this sport, which is now, fast forward a year later, we've won my fights. We're still winning. We got this next one December 8th. We're going to win. My hand will be raised December 8th. I will call you and let you know right after.
And I will clip this up for you so you can post it. And we will take care of you.
Yeah, no, but no, this has been my hardest camp. Like literally I've been learning so much. I've had a lot of fun in this camp, but we're working very hard. So I expect nothing but to win. That's the only goal, and that's what's going to happen. And but for the future in this sport, I feel like I always said, like, even when 2 years ago now, I wanted to stop depending on how the sport was going at 30. That's what I always said. I mean, who knows? I might want to continue more after, but right now that's the goal, just to retire in this sport. That's what I want to do. That's where I see myself. And next year I feel like we're gonna have a lot of big things planned. I do want to go kind of how Jake Paul is gonna go in that route, because my route is different, but we're very similar. So the next steps would be eventually fighting, a UFC fighter and fighters in that caliber too, and we'll just go around it. That's kind of what we talk about and what we need to do.
And what are you focusing on the branding side of everything? Because obviously you have the platform, and obviously in today's world, as toxic as it is, I'm always on my phone making clips for sure. We're talking TikTok earlier, Instagram, and it gets to a point where like, I'm almost brain dead, but like there is that aspect to it, right? There's that aspect.
But you're working.
Exactly. Like you're working. That's the business side. Like, where do you want to be on that side?
The business side, I feel like, so we just came out with my own company, One of One LLC.
Awesome.
There's one on the back, and I feel, it already sold out on the first day we launched it on the open workout.
It's a good start.
It was a great start, and people are following, picking it up, and I always felt like I was one of one. I always felt like I was different, and now putting it into a brand and then showcasing it in sports, I think it's going to keep elevating. But on the business part, I just focus on a lot of it. How can we get more eyes on us? How can we keep improving? How can we have bigger fights? How can, more people want to see this sport? And that's what we've been doing. So every day we're thinking of ideas on what we do. This guy calls me probably 20, 30 times a day, like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm telling, hey, I'm writing this email. And he knows, like, hey, I think of this idea. Oh, that's a great
24
idea.
hours in a day. We got to work, baby.
Yeah.
We got to work.
So true.
Some of my other fighters, the Olympians and stuff like that, and world champions. It's like, Coach, where do you find the energy? I say, hey, man, when do you sleep? I said, we'll sleep when we dead.
I've seen this guy get on a plane at 11 o'clock at night to come meet me in California from Miami with no sleep to do an open workout at 11 o'clock my time. So he went into different time zones.
Finished the fight on the zone that night. Took the red eye, got there. We got to get it, baby. We got to get it when we can get it.
At the airport at 9. He's like,
strike while the iron's hot.
No food, but hey, we got to work out at 11 o'clock. So.
Hey, you got to strike while the iron's hot, baby.
And hey, my open workout was a success. Everyone's seen improvements. We were good, and it was a great turnout.
That's what discipline is.
Yeah,
that is the root of all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be times where like you have time and your body's telling you, please, Bob. I need a few hours.
It's funny that you say that, and I tell my fighters that, and everybody in general. I can lie to you, you can lie to me, I can lie to myself. We can't lie to the man upstairs. So when your body is just, it's done. You look in the mirror and say, man, it's done. I got to rest. Then that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're looking in that mirror and you just starting to justify and lie and say, boy, I'd like to just have a couple Snickers bars and just lay on the couch and just this and that. Yeah. That's when you got to say, nah, I got to go after it. You know what I mean? There's a time to shut it down. No two ways about it. I love the 10 Commandments. Remember what Moses said? And when he was out there with the Hebrew slaves, and they were out there in that movie, The Ten Commandments, and old boy said, hey, they're doing this on them, they're working them, and Moses looked at him. He said, hey man, don't you even rest your horses? Like, God dang, can't this guy get one day off? So they said, okay, we're gonna give him the Sabbath. They gave him Sunday off, right? So I always take Sunday off.
Oh yeah, it's the Sabbath.
Yeah, I always take Sunday off. Go to church on Sunday. That's my day to rest.
You're probably going to be one of those, like, 80 to 90-year-old men that is just, like, in insane shape, you know? There's like, because you'll see
I still
comparisons.
spar once in a while. These guys know that I can still get some of those guys.
You'll see, like, comparisons of people who just, like, took care of themselves, and, like, they're sharp. They're great. Like, people who are, like, up there in age. Not calling you old by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm old, but you know what? It's funny you say that, because that's what I learned from my uncle, who's actually he was a slave in the German prison camps. He got caught in World War II, and full on work. They were working those people in those camps to death. And but he always told me, he said, hey man, you take care of your car gonna last a long time. Same thing. And he would always educate me on that. Just eat right. You're not gonna be perfect, but for the most part, eat right, take care of yourself. You take care of your body, it's gonna take care of you. And I mean, he was 98 years old, and that
just sharp.
He go walk a couple miles every day and could do a lot of great things. And unfortunately, sometimes cancers or things like that are out of people's control, but for the most part, things that we can control, it makes a huge difference.
I'm a huge music guy, a huge rock and roll guy. Growing up in New Jersey, Bruce Springsteen was like, everybody knew him. He's like royalty, but he's mid-70s, maybe even late 70s, but he's in great shape. He's still touring. He does 4 to 5 hour shows every single night. Ozzy Osbourne is the same age as Bruce Springsteen. You could honestly argue whether or not that guy could be like 95 years old. Like, you can't even understand when he talks. Yeah. Like, he did not take care of himself.
Yeah,
versus,
he's like a vegetable now.
And then there's like Vince McMahon.
Oh, Vince.
WWE, pushing 80.
Yeah.
Absurd strength. I mean,
well, there's some
we'll see what he's using,
Yeah.
But like, you got to.
No, but even regardless of that, with the body, but the mind, working every day, being alert, challenging yourself. So that's a huge part of it. Like you said, and a lot of these fighters that I've been around too, you can see the lifestyle. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, it's from the fights," and I said, "Well, yes and no, because I know that guy back in the day. He get out of camp, and he want to drink, he want to hang out, he want to do this." And you could almost see where that road was leading to, and you say, oh, the guy's a little punchy, he's a little this and that. And then you look at another guy, and the guy had 70 pro fights, double what he had. But guess what? I remember him back in the gym. Soon it was over, he wasn't drinking, he wasn't doing this, he wasn't doing any of these kind of things. You look at Bernard Hopkins. I mean, you look at the shape that guy's in, and I can remember, he had won a world title. And you talk about the discipline of him. And, as the story goes, the cheesecake would come over like this. Man, I'm going to indulge, boy. I just won the world championship again. I'm 40-something years old. It was a brutal camp. And he orders the cheesecake. And people, he's going to go for it. He just took the fork and poked it like this. And he went, oh, that's great. And that's the type of discipline he had. That's why he's in the condition that he's in.
You always got to treat yourself, but even if it's just like that much, it's like
he just put it in there. I guess
that's fantastic. Take it back.
I don't know if he was treating himself or torturing himself.
Yeah,
but either way, it's a huge commitment to discipline.
Oh my God! I mean, you guys just talking like the past hour or so, like discipline is kind of like the MO,
sure.
and it's got to be, because I was telling you guys before, like one slice of pizza, I'm like, I feel like crap. One drink, I'm like, I don't feel great. Like, why would I ever want to feel this way again? Like, I want to be disciplined, even regardless if you're training for something or not, just to be in peak performance and feel good and train well, and to be able to go on a run without feeling winded in the first 5 seconds.
At the end of the day, right? What do you want versus what do you want more?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want versus what do you want more? You want to be a champion? Or you want to eat the pizza?
That's right.
You want to be great? What's it going to take?
You're going to be exposed either way.
Yeah. No,
a lot of people tell a lot of people that I want to be something in this world, but well, are you actually putting in the effort? Because it's going to be exposed one day.
90% people aren't.
There's so many influencers. There's so many people that will tell you, oh, I'm doing this, that, and that. I'm busy. I'm doing this, that, and that. And then eventually you don't hear from them anymore. You don't see them. What happened? They weren't actually putting in the work. They were just talking the talk and not walking the walk.
That's right. You're going to get exposed. You will get and going back to professional prize fighting, that's the one sport you definitely going to get exposed. We're going to find out if you put that road work in. We're going to find out what you put in. You know, it's the championship rounds now. What are you putting in? You can lie, you can bullshit. Hey, everyone's going to see it on fight night. How are you getting down? It's the 11th and the 12th now. You holding on for dear life? Maybe you didn't put that road work in that you said.
And what do you have to say to your opponent on December 8th? I'll give you the floor. You got that camera. You got that camera.
I didn't even recognize that camera, actually. I mean, December 8th, it's going to be a good fight. But, at the end of the day, I'm going to win. And he's just a stepping stone. That's it. We didn't overlook anyone, but, we put in the work. And my work is going to show for itself. So.
I love it, guys. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming in today. On a Saturday, nonetheless.
Saturday. Just got
hustling.
Off the flight. Just got off the airplane right now to come here.
A red eye coming here. You got to eat. You got to train. But this was episode 802 of the podcast, guys. Remember to hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Jack O'Hara TV.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Sweet.